I am the Judas Resurrection.
How's my hair? Just watched the video. About Schrodinger's cat, however you pronounce it. I'd heard about this thing for so many years. I'm like, finally, I have to look into it because you hear all these people say it's a Schrodinger's cat, it's a Schrodinger's cat. And I'm like, do you even know what the hell you're talking about? Most times, a phrase like discombobulate becomes common. Most people don't know what the hell it means, they just say it. You got to have a dictionary. You have to be able to communicate properly your intent. So I watched the video. It was like a 4-minute and 38-second video. I said, that ought to be enough. I think it was on TED TV or something. I don't know. But I had to see what the hell it was. And it talks about the cat and this guy Schrodinger, who is an Austrian physicist. He imagined what would happen if I put it in a box with something nuclear. There's a 50% chance it would kill the cat. What happens? You leave it in there for so long with the box closed. And he says, at the point when you're about to open the box, then there's a 50% chance that that cat will be dead or that it will be alive. But until the very instant that you open the box, it could be both at the same time. And he's like, ooh, that's fucking ridiculous. And he fled the field after that. He left physics, physiology, whatever, he left that, the physics of it all, and went into some other field of his training. And then quantum mechanics came around. We talk about qubits and things like that, but quantum mechanics came around and they use that, and it shows how it works, and it shows how, even down to like, and they talk about the analogy of the cat size being to the sun and the cat size being to the atom and things like that, and they say it just that's what they say. But they speak of how they find it can work. They've got a couple of things, examples they use, anecdotal, empirical to them evidence, or so it seems. And it speaks at a molecular level where you've got atoms and you've got electrons going around, and it uses H2O as an example. There's a hydrogen atom and then an oxygen. And how now that one electron that was just surrounding the one atom is now connecting as it combines, and they share their elemental structures with each other to create something bigger. But while it's going around all three of those, now it's in three places at the same time, like quantum entanglement, I suppose. They didn't say that, but I guess that's the way it works. And I watched that thing. I said, "Oh, I get it now." And I said, "Oh," I made a comment on their thing, and then I went, "Oh," and I went in and I talked to the kid. I said, "I just, you know what Schrodinger's cat?" He's like, "Yeah, I got an idea," and I didn't make him go through it. I said, "Yeah, the opening the box, this and that." I said, "But they're all part of our structure." I said, "Oh," I said, "What if one of those electrons decided it didn't support what we, as an organism, so many more electrons involved, everybody's got to do their job. What happens if one of those electrons decides that it doesn't support our intent anymore and it just shuts down? What if that this conscious essence of the universe is not just through thinking living animals, but all the way down to the basic structure, the mechanics, the cogs in the wheel that are built of the little bits of metal? What if that lower electron, lowly electron, decides it doesn't like what we're doing? It doesn't mind being a slave, but it will not be a slave to the master it supports. What if that slave no longer supports the master? Does everything fall apart, or just one? And if it's just one to begin with, what if the others agree with it and they all decide to shut down? We no longer have water. We no longer have life. It goes on a silent sitting strike, peaceful, and watches everything above it collapse. I didn't quite go that far into it with him, but when I talked about the slave and the master and the electron and the organism that comes of the molecular structure, he said, "You should do a video about that." I said, "Well, I really don't know if I should be doing it." Half of the people that watch me, it's a Schrodinger's. Half of the people watching me, I said, they may have the mental acuity to understand what I'm saying, whether they support it or not. But the other 50% in that paradigm of listeners, it will blow their minds. And there will be nothing left to the structure, which I chaotically uphold. You are the Jewish resurrection.